So welcome to today's meditation class. As for the last couple of sessions, the last 2 Saturdays, it'll be a slightly shortened version. I'll just give a few minutes of introduction, and then we will finish the meditation itself about 10 minutes to 4. And then at 4 o'clock, we'll turn off the streaming, because it'll be changed to another form of streaming for another event starting at 4:15. Is that correct? Very good, excellent. So first of all, I can start now. Whenever we practice this thing which we call meditation, there's usually people talk about 2 types of meditation, of still meditation, so calming meditation called samatha, and other times they talk about vipassana, which is the insight. And of those 2, as the Buddha always said, you can't split one from the other. And one of those similes, which I believe I said recently, I give so many talks about the emperor sending his 2, first of all send a minister to try and ask his son, who had given control of a bordering kingdom to, and sent his son over there to learn how to be a ruler. And still the emperor was just kind of overseeing him. But then when he found out the student was not practicing correctly as a little king, then he sent a wise minister to try and teach his son how to rule a kingdom. But the son would not listen to his father's minister. So then his father sent a general with the minister. And the wise minister and the fierce general went together to see the son. And then the son, seeing the very fierce, scary general, he listened very carefully. It's amazing how much attention you have to someone teaching you if he's holding a sword to your throat. And with paying attention to words of the minister and seeing how wise they were, with the wise minister and the fierce general, that is when the son could understand the wisdom he was being taught. You do need to have those 2 things together, the wisdom and the stillness. It's one of the reasons why that sometimes you can imagine just a very great teacher and you're sitting in their presence and they may be teaching some very wonderful things, but sometimes we just cannot listen, or we don't listen, and because of that we don't get the message. You do need that attention which comes from stillness to be able to learn and see and understand what's going on. That is the job of the stillness. The job of the stillness, when you're sitting here and you're observing your body and the body vanishes, and then you can experience this thing we call the mind. That can only happen when you do sit very still, when the mind stops thinking about past and future, when that also is still. When both of those things are still, the body and the mind, that is when one can understand some of these teachings which the Buddha gave. And I'm not going too deep for people here, because very often people experience this eventually. They experience states of stillness where everything gets so quiet, so peaceful, and also they have some of these amazing experiences, one of which is where they manage to experience joy. And I don't know where that joy comes from. The body relaxes and feels at ease. The mind relaxes and also feels clear and at ease. Being able to generate that joy and clarity is an important part of the meditation. And it happens to people sitting here in this hall. Sometimes at the end of the meditation they can be quite surprised. They're very still, they're not thinking very much, because honestly, how many times have you thought to try and solve problems, or get answers to difficult problems? And it very rarely works. But sometimes you can be still and the answer comes to you. This is one of the things which anybody who's in any management position, and unfortunately, as well as being a senior monk and meditation teacher, you also have to manage a monastery, actually a few monasteries. And the way to manage it, whenever there's a problem, you just leave it alone for a while, and then answers come to you. Have you ever noticed that? Sometimes when I have to think of a name, and I'm trying to think, what's their name, and then you keep trying to think about it, nothing happens. But then you let it come to you, the name comes up really easily. This is a way that understanding and wisdom works. You become far more penetrating of truths when you are still, even when you are silent. And from that silence, and from that stillness, not only do you get clarity of mind, but you also get this beautiful joy of peace. This meditation, when done properly, is a very enjoyable path. So enjoyable, you can spend 50 years indulging in the joy of it. Sometimes, because we're celebrating this 50th year that this monk has been here teaching, why? Couldn't I find something better to do? No, I like the form of that question because the answer was no. This is a very joyful, happy, rewarding way of living. When you get tired, you don't just lay on a bed, you cross your legs and sit up and let the body straighten up and enjoy stillness. And how you get that stillness is learning how not to react, to be peaceful, to be still. Sometimes it's one of those little similes I often give of when somebody comes in and they bang the door. The door banging doesn't last that long, but people thinking about it, the reaction they have, who was that? Why did they do that? Why can't they be quiet? That reaction is what lasts, and that is what disturbs, not the bang of the door, but the reaction afterwards. So those of you who find it difficult to be quiet inside, why? You have things to think about, but that's just like reaction to what you have to do in this life. You're not at work now. You don't have to think about the problems you have to solve for your company or for your work. Now is the time to be still, to be peaceful. And when you can be still and peaceful like that, then afterwards solutions come to you. There was one lady many years ago, and she had the job she had was a really difficult job. And I remember her telling me that she hadn't finished all her work. She came on a retreat, and she let her work go. She didn't think about it during the retreat, but halfway in the retreat, so some of the problems, the major problems she hadn't found solutions to, they came up. Involuntary, she didn't think about them, they came to her with the answers. And she was kind of stunned how good those answers were. So she did get up from her meditation, go to her room and write down the answers, fold them away and leave them until the retreat was over. The point was that those answers, now with wisdom and with a very soft, clear mind, are so much more effective than when you think about them. So in this meditation we learn how to be still, not to have an inner conversation, and then we can feel. And when that feeling, the insights can come up. Sometimes you may call them intuition, and they are far more accurate and helpful than just thinking. That's one of the reasons why the inner stillness is something we can develop. Not only is it going to be beneficial, but it's also very beautiful to experience, to give your brain a rest. So anyway, that's just starting talking. And now I'm going to ask you just to be quiet. And you should be in your meditation positions now. And we're going to start the meditation. And when I start the meditation, I will give you the guidance at the beginning. And that guidance is usually with your body first of all. I usually find it more helpful to do the meditation on the body, to learn how to relax the body very deeply at the beginning. Because there you are developing two most important qualities, which is mindfulness plus the kindness. If it's without the kindness, you find it's hard to actually to keep that sense of just happy to be here. Always want something else, but with kindness to this moment, we can appreciate this moment. When we appreciate this moment, it's easy to stay here. So now, if you haven't already, please close your eyes. And first know that this is a safe place. No one has ever got injured in this hall, certainly not through meditating. And number two, that they've got some quiet, peaceful abidings available for you. Sitting down, either on a cushion or on a chair, how do you feel? What does the body feel like? When I start becoming aware of my body, sometimes this is what I'm doing now. I try to contact the most uncomfortable part of the body. To me at the moment, the part which is most uncomfortable is the big toe on my right foot, which is being squashed under my left knee. So I'm going to move, only slightly. It's okay to move at the beginning of the meditation, simply because when you first start, put your body in a position, sometimes the awareness is not strong enough at the beginning to know that you are uncomfortable, and those feelings of discomfort grow and disturb you towards the middle and end of the meditation. So I've now adjusted my feet, and it's also sometimes I consider my own body, like my leg or my feet, as an independent entity, like another living being. When I'm kind to it, it reacts with a sense of thank you. with some gratitude, and my body relaxes. And I look for another part of the body. I look for my legs in general, just focusing on my legs. And how are they? And if there is any tension anywhere, I can focus my awareness just on the calves of my legs, or anywhere else in your body which is stressed, tight, squashed, stretched. I observe that area, and I find ways of lessening that discomfort. The thing with mindfulness, with awareness, it does give you feedback. That part of the body which was a bit uncomfortable, has that feeling decreased or got worse? If it's got worse, then move, adjust. This is not an endurance contest. We want to care for our body, look after it, to make it relaxed. Because you find when the body is relaxed, the mind can be still. When the body is still fighting something, you lose a lot of energy. So now my legs seem relaxed. My back, I stretch it up a bit and then relax it. Feel my shoulders. For those of you who haven't done this much before, to get my shoulders really at ease, sometimes I try the opposite of scrunching them up. Pull them close together, scrunch as much as possible, and then let go. It reminds me what letting go is. Not forcing anything, not holding anything with a rigid mind, but letting it be, letting it find a place of comfort, letting it be at ease. And a lot of time I trust my body. When it feels at ease, I leave it alone. Look at my arms and hands. Today I've got my hands in an unusual posture. But then I just asked if they're comfortable, and they were. So I'm going to leave them like that. And go up to my neck. Go up to my neck because sometimes that's a part of the body, if it's stretched or too tight because the head is leaning too far back or leaning too far forward or to one side or the other, that can create a lot of tightness and pain. Not at first, but later on. So I am aware of the position of my head on top of my neck and make sure it feels well balanced. And then lastly, my face. I mentioned this last night, that when the face is relaxed, there's no tightness around the mouth or around the eyes or nose. That means your emotions are calmed down. Any fear or wanting or anxiety. Sometimes you can tell if a person is anxious. by how their face is configured. When it's loose, at ease, it's because many of the emotions have been softened and calmed. I like doing that to see how soft I can make my own face. And by this time, my body is feeling really relaxed. Sometimes people ask you to relax. This is how to do it. At the same time, I've been generating stronger and stronger mindfulness, awareness, and also this kindness. I'm kind to my own body. It's such a simple thing, but it's so effective. My body is kind of at peace, and it feels pleasurable. And I enjoy that pleasure. What it does is make the relaxation go deeper. And then I kind of let go of the body. And this often happens. I become aware of my breathing, just it comes to me. I've been meditating on the breath for years, more than 50 years. And I don't go looking for it ever. It comes to me. The reason it comes is because there's no other business. The only thing which is moving. The lovely thing about the breath is the only breath you can be aware of is a breath which is happening right now. It brings you into the present moment. And there's not much you can say about the breath. It calms the thinking mind, which is fueled by all that naming. So all I'm aware of now is just this breathing. I don't force the breath. I'm a friend to the breath. We hang out together, enjoying each other's company. It's peaceful, and peace is naturally joyful. Especially for each one of you who've worked so hard, done so much, made so many decisions. Now you don't have to make any decision at all. Just with this breath, which is feeding you life and energy, and you just hang out with the breath. Don't try and get anywhere, that's just another course of improvement which people try to do. Instead, just care for this moment. Care for your breath. Always in this moment. Silent. That's my definition of mindfulness. Aware in this moment and silent. I will now be peaceful and silent. When I start talking again, I'll be close to the end of the meditation. How peaceful are you? This is not the end of the meditation. We're getting close. What does it feel like inside? Does it feel delightful? Are you happy to be here? When the mind settles and becomes still, a great deal of peace comes. And that peace can be some of the most delightful energy you've ever experienced. It's like the mind wakes up. It's rested. Powerful. It can get so still. Beautiful bliss arises. And that's you. How does your body feel? A lot of times, because you are not exerting yourself, the breath and everything else flows calmly and healthily. So now I'm going to bring you out of meditation by ringing the gong 3 times. Please wait until the 3rd ringing of the gong disappears, and then come out and open your eyes. And if you want to do a lot of meditation in the future, as you come out of meditation, please smile. It doesn't let the joy vanish quickly. It preserves it for a bit longer, which is wonderful. There's sometimes that people say, I should teach meditation, but I don't teach it. I lead people like on a journey, like a tour leader, saying, please come with me in this direction of being kind, relaxing the body, and just allowing the mind to be peaceful. Yeah, please, you can bring the questions up. One of the similes which I gave today was just Ajahn Brahm's simile of how natural meditation can be. And that was when he said, look at the leaves on the trees outside. There's a wind outside today, so you can't feel the wind inside this hall. But even the blades of grass and the leaves are shaking, they're moving. Once that wind dies down and stops, the leaves will still shake until, through friction, all that energy of movement gets worn down and the leaves become still, all by themselves. No one needs to hold them still. They are naturally still. And that's what Ajahn Brahm would always say, that's just like the human mind. It has winds. You've been working, struggling, doing jobs, even just getting here. But then comes a time that there's no work to do, so you sit down, there's no winds of wanting. And so the mind starts to settle down. And when it gets really settled down, it becomes still all by itself. It's not the result of work which you do. It's just a natural occurrence of the human mind going to its natural state of peacefulness, of stillness. And the longer that stillness lasts, the more deep and energized it gets. And that's where you start to experience beautiful, happy states of bliss. It just happens. It's the nature. That's how Ajahn Brahm described it years ago. And anyway, the first question I have here from the people who are listening to this on the internet, from Gloria. I relied so much on my thinking in my past years that I'm afraid to let it go. How to have the confidence to let it go? Please understand that when you let go of the thinking, it's not a forever letting go. It's only just for a few moments you let it go and just see what it feels like. It's like, as we keep on saying, dipping the toe in the water. A little baby who goes to the swimming pool and the mother just puts one foot in the water and the baby thinks, this is not dangerous. The mother's holding it and then puts 2 feet in the water. Mother takes it out, then puts the whole leg in the water, and the mother's still holding it, and then just the whole lower body in the water. And then they drop the baby in the water, and you can't get the baby out again. It's enjoying itself, having a wonderful time. And that's like meditation. You drop one toe in the water first of all. You just stop thinking for just a few moments. Based on that, there was a little exercise which I kind of developed over in Singapore. I invite you to join in. It'll only take a moment. Please close your eyes again. Don't need to change your posture, it'll only be a minute or two. And please listen to the instructions, because as I am speaking, you will begin to notice there are some spaces between my words. In those spaces, what was happening in your mind? You weren't thinking, but you were still aware. You could hear the sound of the birds, and like the aircon, like the wind in the mountains. Okay, you can open your eyes now. It's a little exercise to show how easy it is to stop thinking, and how peaceful and beautiful it is. Oh my goodness. Now there's another question. Okay. From Leon, how to balance relaxation and mindfulness. I relax, my thoughts are still there but distant, but I am almost half asleep without a sharp, watchful mind. Feels like it's one or the other. Please go for the sleepiness, because the sleepiness doesn't last. And when the sleepiness, you've recharged your energy inside, you're still, but the energy gets more and more and more and more and more. It's not a balancing act. It's because human beings today, we think so much, we do so much, we're under so many demands from ourselves and others. We are tired. Remember, I kind of discovered this myself. Over in Thailand, I'd meditate early in the morning, hour after hour, and you fall asleep. And I'd always try and wake myself up and get my back straight again. But then it was just endless. Until one day I decided, well, I'm tired because it's getting up early in the morning, not enough sleep, not enough food in those days. In a hot climate I wasn't used to. So I just sat there and let go. And you did get very dull. But then you notice the dullness was just the body learning how to be at peace. And it allowed energy to come back. And as energy came back, my body straightened up by itself. And it's always weird when this happens. You're just knowing the nature of your body. It got very straight, the mind became clear over many minutes. And all this energy came back again. It was a natural recharging of the body and the mind. And these days, just you know how this works. So if I am tired and I need to give a talk somewhere, I know how to re-energize myself. And it works so well. It's not a psychic power. It's just knowing the nature of the body and the mind. So please, Leon it is, do relaxation first. You've still got enough mindfulness there. And as you relax, you're giving a chance for mindfulness to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And it becomes incredibly powerful. And that's what we do with meditation. Empowering the mind and the body. Okay, that's kind of 4 o'clock now. So I will continue just talking for a little while longer, but then for the next 5 or 10 minutes we don't need to record it anymore because they're changing over to the new talk, which is going to happen in another 15 minutes, but I'm going to still be speaking. So please don't just vanish, because otherwise the monks who are coming to do this discussion afterwards, Leha, what actually is the discussion?